Hi everybody, it's Crystal from Bagoday Crochet. So I hope everybody's doing well and staying safe today. So I know you think this looks hard. Don't go, because it is not hard. And I'm going to show you how to crochet this. This is the Magic Blocks stitch. Isn't it cool? Wouldn't that make an awesome blanket? Awesome sweater? Awesome table runner? Awesome placemats, awesome anything that you could think of you can make with this. It's a very solid stitch. It's mostly just mostly just single crochet, other than these post stitches. Now these are very tall post stitch, and it's row by row, and it just becomes layers on top of the single crochet. So you can see that these post stitches are layered on top of these single crochets. It's not hard, trust me. If anything that I taught you is, I hope that I taught you is that even though it looks hard, it usually isn't. And I can show you how to do this. As long as you know the basics. I'm going to show you the rest, okay? And you never know unless you try. I promise me you'll give it a try. Isn't that cool? It's neat. It's neat. I love it. Here's the back. All right. It's pretty. Love it. Beautiful, beautiful stitch. All right. So this is a stitch tutorial. So I'm just going to show you how to make the stitch. You can make it a blanket if you want. Make it shorter if you want. Like I said, anything that you want. So I'm just going to show you the yarn that I use. But first, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my tutorials. I do have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them right now. And I put them on almost on a daily basis. And I also do lots of yarn content too. Try to keep everybody up to date on new yarns and show yarn hauls every once in a while. So hit that subscribe button in the right hand corner if you could. And give this video a like if you enjoy. Alright, so for the purpose of this tutorial, I'll show you the yarn that I used. So you're going to need 3 different colors of yarn. You can use any color of yarn that you want, and you can also use any brand of yarn. But the colors that I have chosen are, in the brand that I'm using, is Premier Basic. It is a 100% acrylic medium weight number 4. So I am using the color Garnet. Beautiful. Let's look at the color combos on this. Goldenrod, beautiful. These are some of my favorite colors right here. And chocolate, that's a beauty. All right, so those are the 3 colors that I'm using from mine, or that I did use from mine. And then I'm going to be using, for the purpose of the tutorial, a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Let's go ahead and get started. So as I mentioned, I will give you the multiple, and you can make this to your desired length. If you want it to be a blanket, chain in the multiple that I tell you for however long you want your blanket to be. Scarf, whatever. So we got 3 different colors here. So we have color A, B, and C. Okay, so you can get yours in the order that you want. Color A is going to be the main long post stitch borders, as you can see. Color B will be kind of the outline of the squares, and color C will be what will be in the center. Okay, so once you get yours lined up, we're going to start with color A, which mine is the chocolate color, or the brown. So this stitch is done in a multiple of 10 plus 5, which means that your chain that you make needs to be evenly divisible by 10, and then you add 5 more. So my stitch, or my swatch here, I started with a chain of 55 for my swatch, and as you can see, I have 5 squares. So, and then a couple half ones here on the end. But so every 10 stitches is going to be a square, and then you need to add 5 more for your base chain. All right, so once you get your chain, or your chain of a multiple of 10 plus 5 down, what we're going to do for row 1 is we are going to single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. So we don't count the one that's on our hook. So single crochet in the second stitch over. And then we're going to put one single crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. So row 1 is one single in every stitch until we get to the end of the row. All right, I've made it to end of row 1. Now we're going to start row 2. So we're going to go ahead and start row 2. Row 2, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we are going to put one single crochet into this very first stitch here. And one single crochet in every stitch across until we get to the end of the row. So row 2 is a single crochet row. One single in every stitch. Alright, I'm coming to the end of row 2 and I'm going to switch colors now, and we're going to switch to color B at the end of row 2. So you can, I'm going to go ahead and switch mid stitch here. So I'm going into my last stitch to do a single crochet. I'm going to draw up a loop. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to set my work down. I'm going to clip off of this brown, color A, long enough to sew in a tail later. And I'm going to bring in color B. I'm going to pull it through those two loops that are on my hook like that, and that finishes out that last single crochet. And now I'm going to take the two tails of color A and B, and I'm going to tie a knot in them so they do not slip away, and then later on I will hide the tails. In fact, this is the only bad part about this stitch, is all the tails you have to hide. Other than that, it's gorgeous. Alright, there's our nice clean color change, and we're ready to start row 3. Okay, so rows 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 are the repeat rows. It's a 10 row repeat, but 8 of those rows are single crochet rows. Alright, so they're pretty much all single crochet except for 2. Row 3, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we are going to put a single crochet into the very first stitch. And guess what? We're going to work one single crochet in every stitch across until we get to the end of our row. So row 3 is a single crochet row as well. Alright, I've made it to the end of row 3. Don't worry about it if your work is curling. That is not a problem. So now we're going to go ahead and start row 4. Row 4, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to put one single crochet right back into the very first stitch. And again, we're going to work across, and we're going to put one single crochet in every stitch until we get to the end of row 4. We will be switching colors at the end of row 4, so I'll meet back up with you at the last stitch of row 4. Alright, I've made it to the end of row 4, and I'm going into my last stitch like I'm going to do a single crochet. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to switch colors. So I'm going to clip this off long enough that I can hide a tail later, and I'm going to bring in color C, which is the color we chose for the center of our block. And what we're going to do is go ahead and pull that through those two loops, and that'll finish off that single crochet. Now I'm going to take the tail of color C and the tail of color B and tie a little knot here so we don't slip away. Hide them tails later. Here we go. Let's start row 5. Ready? Bet you can't guess what it is. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. Now rows 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all the same. They're one single crochet in every stitch. So we're going to start row 5, and we're going to put a single crochet into the first stitch and one single crochet in every stitch until we get to the end. So what we're going to do is work 4 rows of single crochet in color C. So row 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all single crochet rows. So I'm going to go ahead and work 5, then I'm going to do a row of single crochet for 6, and I'll do a row of single crochet for 7, and a row of single crochet for 8, and then I'll meet back up with you. How about that? All right, we're going to switch colors at the end of row 8, so I'll meet back up with you at the last stitch at the end of row 8. All right, I'm coming to the end of row 8. Let's go ahead and switch colors here on our last stitch. So we're going to go in and draw up a loop like we're going to do a single. I'm going to drop it. I'm going to clip that long enough to hide that tail, and I'm going to bring back color B right there. And I'm going to pull it through, and that finishes off that single crochet. And I'm going to take the tail from color B and the tail from color C, knot it up here at the end, and now we can start row 9. It's time to do some post stitches. You guys ready? All right, don't be scared of these post stitches. You might have to practice them. Don't be scared of them. They're not hard at all. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. We're going to do a single crochet into the first 3 stitches. So this very first one, there's 1, the next one, there's 2, and then the next one, there's 3. All right, so we're going to do a front post, double, triple, drop stitch. Sounds like a big one. Wait for the next one now. Are you ready? We're going to do it all the way down to our second row of color B down here. So right here, down here. So we did a single crochet in 3 stitches. So the way I keep track to know what stitch I need to go around down here is I count over 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. And since I did 3, I know I need to start in the next one. Okay? Not the very first row of color B we did, but the second row of color B, we're going to go around that single crochet. So the double, triple, we yarn over 3 times. There's 1, 2, 3. Go all the way down, go around the post of that stitch like that. Fold your work in half. It's easier. Pull your stitches up on your hook. Yarn over. Keep them stitches up tight. Yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. Pull your stitches up to the top again. Yarn over and go through the next 2 stitches. Yarn over and go through the next 2 stitches. Yarn over and go through the remaining 2 stitches. So that was 4 times that you yarned over and went through 2 stitches. And there you go. That is a front post, double, triple, drop stitch. Let's do it again. We're going to do it again in the next stitch. Are you ready? So we're going to yarn over 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to go all the way down to the to the next stitch. This one right here. Go around the post of it like that. Fold your work. Pull your stitches up tight. Yarn over and draw up a loop. We're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. Push some stitches up. Yarn over and go through the next 2 loops on your hook. Pull your fingers up. Push some stitches up. Yarn over and go through the next 2. Move your fingers up. Yarn over and go through the remaining 2. There we go. Did it again. Now we're going to put a single crochet into the next 4 stitches. But you can't count the 2 that we just did these 2 stitches here. So you flip over and see these 2 stitches here. We don't count those. We don't put any stitches in those because that's what these post stitches were for. So skip those 2, 1, 2, and then the next one we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Starting right here starts the repeat of the row. Okay, and now we're going to do the drop stitches again. Front post, double, triple, and a drop stitch. What a mouthful it is. All right, so this is how you tell what stitch down here you need to go to. So we did 4 single crochets, so count 4 stitches over. So here is the post stitch. So we count the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. That takes the place of all them single crochets we did up there. So we need to go around the next one. This one right here. Okay? So yarn over twice. 1, or 3 times, I mean. 2 and 3. Go around that stitch that we talked about. Let's do this. Yarn over, fold your work in half. Drop a loop like that. Okay. Yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. Push your stitches forward, bring your fingers up. Yarn over, go through the first 2. Bring your fingers up, push your stitches forward. Yarn over and go through the next 2. Bring your fingers up. Yarn over and go through the remaining 2. There it is. Now we're going to do that again into the next one. Right here. Yarn over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Go around the post of that stitch like that. Fold your work in half. Pull them stitches up or push them up. Draw up a loop. Yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. Bring your fingers up, pinch it, push these up. Yarn over and go through the next 2. Push them up, bring your fingers up. Yarn over, go through the next 2. Bring your fingers up, yarn over and go through the remaining 2. See that? There it is. By bringing your fingers up and pushing your stitches up on your hook, it makes it where it's not so loose. If you don't try to keep it as tight as possible, it's going to look like a really loose, just non-attractive post stitch. So do your best to try to keep it, that's why my tip is bring your fingers up every time you go through 2 loops and keep pushing your stitches up on your hook. All right, and now we're going to do a single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So we do not count the 2 that these post stitches took the place of. So 1, 2 we skip, and then the next one we're going to put a single crochet and then a single crochet into the next. So this just 2 this time. And now we're going to do our drop stitches again. So in order to find out where I need to go, I did 2 single crochets. So I come down here and I look. Here's my post stitch. So I need to 1, 2 takes the place of the single crochets we just did. So we need to go into the next one right here. Okay. So we're going to yarn over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Go around the post of that stitch. Here we go. Fold your work in half. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over and go through the first 2. Bring your fingers up. Push those loops up on your hook. Yarn over and go through the next 2. Bring your fingers up. Push those loops up. Yarn over and go through the next 2. Bring your fingers up. Yarn over and go through the remaining 2. There it is. Let's do it again. Yarn over 3 times. We're going to go into the next one right here. Fold your work in half, push some loops up on your hook, yarn over and draw up a loop. Yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. Bring your fingers up, push those loops up. Yarn over and go through the next 2 loops. Bring your fingers up, push those loops up. Yarn over and go through the next 2. Bring your fingers up, yarn over and go through the remaining 2. There we go. That's just like that. Now we're going to start our repeat again from back here. So we're going to do a single crochet into the next 4 stitches. So we're going to skip these 2 here. 1, 2. Starting with this one, we're going to do 4 in a row. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we need to do our 2 front post triple crochet drop stitches. So look down here so you can see exactly which stitch it needs to go into. So you did 4 single crochets. So here's our post stitch from the previous row. So we're going to count over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you know that you need to start into the next one right here. Let's do it. Yarn over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Drop down and go around the post of that stitch. Fold your work in half. Drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. Push those loops up, move your fingers up. Yarn over and go to the next 2 loops. Fingers up, push the loops up. Yarn over and go to the next 2. bring your fingers up and yarn over and go through the remaining 2. Again, yarn over 3 times, 2, 3. We're going to do the next one. Go around a post of it, fold your work in half, push those loops up, yarn over and drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook, push the loops up and bring your fingers up, yarn over and go through the next 2 loops, fingers up, loops up, yarn over and go through the next 2, fingers up, yarn over and go through the remaining 2, just like that. And now we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So remember, we skipped the 2 in the back, so skip, skip, and we start with the next one. 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then we need to do our 2 drop stitches. So we need to figure out where it needs to go down here. Here is the drop stitch from before. We did 2 stitches this time, so there's 1, 2, and we know it needs to go into the next one. Yarn over 3 times, go around the post of it, fold your work in half, push those loops up, yarn over and go drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, fingers up, loops up, yarn over and go through the next 2, fingers up, loops up, yarn over and go through the next 2, fingers up, yarn over and go through the remaining 2. Let's do it again. Yarn over 3 times. We'll go around the post of the next one. Push those loops up, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. Loops up, fingers up. Yarn over and go through the next 2. Loops up, fingers up. Next 2, fingers up, remaining 2, just like that. And we're just going to keep repeating that. Now this time it's 1 single crochet in the next 4. Remember, we do not count these 2 behind. 1, 2. So this time it's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we would do our 2 drop stitches, and then we would do 1 single crochet in the next 2, and then we do our 2 drop stitches, 1 single crochet, and then we repeat it again. 1 single crochet in the next 4, 2 drop stitches, 1 single crochet in the next 2, 2 drop stitches, and keep repeating that until we get near the end of the row. Alright, once you make it near the end of the row, I just did my 2 drop stitches, and you want to put a single crochet into the remaining 3 stitches. So you skip the 2 on the back like always, and you'll have 3 stitches that remain. Put 1 single crochet in the remaining 3, and that will end row 9. Looks a little funny now, but don't worry, it'll look better. Wow, it looks pretty cool actually, but let's go ahead and start row 10. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work, and we are going to put a single crochet into the first stitch, and row 10 is a single crochet row. 1 single crochet in every stitch until we get to the end of our row. We're going to change colors at the end of row 10, so I'll meet back up with you at the last stitch of the row. Alright, I've made it to the end of row 10, so we're going to go into the last stitch and yarn over and pull it, drop a loop like we're going to do a single crochet. We're going to switch colors here, so I'm going to clip that off long enough to hide in later, and I'm going to bring in color A, which for me is my brown, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it through those 2 loops, which will finish out that single crochet. And I'm going to take the tail of color A and the tail of color B, give it a tie. Now we're going to start row 11. Here we go. Now these are the tall stitches. Okay. I'm going to chain 1, and we're going to turn our work. We're going to put 1 single crochet into the very first stitch. Now we're going to do a front post quintuple crochet. quint meaning 5. The reason we call it quintuple because we're going to yarn over 5 times on our hook. Okay, and we're going to do it way down here in the row 2 that we did. Okay, this row 2 right here, not row 1 but row 2. We're going to do around the stitch. So front post quintuple crochet drop stitch. It's a mouthful but let's do it. So we're going to yarn over 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to drop all the way down, and in order to find out which stitch we need to do first, remember we went through the first stitch with a single crochet, so we need to go to the next one. All the way down here. Okay, you ready? We're going to do it the same way. It's just more loops on our hook. We're going to drop a loop. We're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. Push those loops up, move your fingers up. Yarn over and go through the next 2 loops on our hook. Push those loops up, move your fingers up. Yarn over and go through the next 2 loops on our hook. Push those loops up, move your fingers up. Yarn over and go through the next 2 loops. Push your fingers up. Keep the loops up high if you can. Yarn over and go through the next 2, fingers up, and the remaining 2. So that was 6 times that we yarned over and went through 2 loops on our hook. Okay, that's how that stitch is done. Now we're going to do it again in the next one right next to it. So we're going to yarn over 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drop all the way down. Go around that stitch. Fold your work in half, and let's do that again. Drop a loop. Yarn over and go through the first 2. Move your fingers up and push those loops up. Yarn over and go through the next 2. Fingers up, loops up. Yarn over and go through the next 2. Loops up, fingers up. Yarn over, go through the next 2. Loops up, fingers up. Yarn over, go through the next 2. Fingers up, and yarn over and go through the remaining 2. There it is. You did it. Look at that. You did that. You did that. It might take a little practice, but you can do it. I had to practice it myself, so there ain't no shame in that. It's been a long time since I've done tall post stitches like that, so the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Now we're going to go ahead and start the repeat. We're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 8 stitches. So remember, we don't count the 2 that these post stitches take up. So here is 1, 2, so we'll go into the next one. And single crochet, you want to do 8 in a row. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now we need to do our drop stitches, our front post quintuple crochet drop stitch. Okay, and we need to figure out where it needs to go. So if you look down here, it's going to go right here in these 2 stitches that are, well, down below. Right down here in the brown, in the same color that you're using. So, or what I like to do is, since I did 8 single crochets, I like to count 8 stitches over and know that it needs to go into the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I need to know, I know it goes into the next one. So let's do it. Yarn over 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and drop all the way down. Go around that post. Fold your work. Keep those loops up tight. Draw up a loop. Yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. push those loops up, bring your fingers up, yarn over and go to the next 2, push those loops up, fingers up, yarn over, go to the next 2, loops up, fingers up, yarn over, go to the next 2, loops up, fingers up, yarn over, go to the next 2, fingers up, and yarn over and go through the remaining 2, just like that. Now we're going to do that again into the next stitch. So 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down. Okay, you know what to do. Here we go. There it is. Now we're going to repeat it again. 1 single crochet into the next 8 stitches. So don't count these 2 behind. Start in the next one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now we need to do our drop stitches again. So if you want to count over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know they need to go into the next one, which is right here. And I'll do it. Yarn over 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drop all the way down. Fold that work in half, and let's do it. Drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. We're going to do that 6 times total. That was number 1. Just keep it tight, move your fingers up. There it is. Let's do it again into the next stitch down here. That one's a little bit loose. It's okay. I'm going to take that one out. That was a little loose. Try that one again. Better. Now 1 single crochet into the next 8, and then that's the repeat. Single crochet next into the next 8, and do your 2 drops. Single crochet in the next 8, and do your 2 drops until you get near the end of the row. It's looking cool. All right. Once you make it, you'll have three stitches left. All right. We're gonna do 2 drops. All right. 2, 3, 4, 5. I always find the drops on the end, drop stitches on the end, to be kind of the hardest because this thing keeps flopping over, but still not hard. Maybe awkward, but not hard. Okay, there's 1. Do another one into the next one. Got 1 stitch remains, so you got to skip those 2 stitches there. 1, 2, go single crochet into that last stitch. That'll end row 11. What you thinking? Ah, so cool looking. That looks so cool. All right, row 12, chain 1 and turn. This is the last row of the repeat. We are going to put a single crochet into the first stitch and 1 single crochet in every stitch until we get to the end of our row. All right, you make it to the end of row 12. We're going to go ahead and switch colors back to color B, and we're going to repeat again from rows 3 through 12. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 10 row repeat. Remember, all those rows are single crochet rows except for 2. Those are the drop stitch rows. So you would just go ahead and switch colors again like normal and start repeating back from row 3, doing your thing. So we'll keep repeating rows 3 through 12 until you get to your desired height. That and turn. Okay? Ah, that's so cool. So let me show you my big piece again. Now, as you repeat, you might notice that these seem like they don't line up when you're doing them, but they actually do. They just need a push over. But just make sure you keep count of how many stitches you have in between your squares, like I showed you how to count over, that way you know exactly where to put your drop stitches. But yeah, they just need a push over at the end to kind of get it lined up like that. But that's it. That's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's an awesome stitch. Super cool. Thanks everybody for watching. Hey, if you make this, I'd love to see what you made out of any of the stitches I've ever taught. I think I'd love to see what you make out of this more than any of them. I'd love to see your collar combo. I'd love to see your creation. Show me on Facebook. Show me on Instagram. You know, I want to see it. Thanks everybody for watching. Remember, you got this, okay? You got it. You can do it. I see you guys later, all right? Stay safe. Bye, guys.